This week's video is for those of you who train maybe in a commercial gym or train in your local football club. If you don't go see a personal trainer or you don't have an instructor as part of group sessions, do you have a plan when you go to the gym? So, those of you that go to a commercial gym, when you first joined, you probably met with an instructor and he probably asked you a few questions and, put out your answers and then gave you a workout. So, today what I want to do is give you a few tweaks that you can go back, take that old workout or take a workout that you've seen in bloody Men's Health that you liked, and with a few tweaks then we're going to kind of revamp it and, make it somewhat better for you. So, someone once said to me, even the shittest program in the world is good for the right person. So, when you're dealing with a program, it's not just about the exercises in the program, because a lot of the exercise for just general health, well-being, strength, we are doing the same movements, but we might have a bit of different tweaks in the exercise. But it's more how the individual approaches that program, how you approach your own training. So today we're going to go through a few things. So we're going to base it on that you have a 3-day workout. So whether that's split into an upper body day, a lower body day, arms day, or just 3 different full body days, you're going to be able to adapt this to probably most of the exercises in it. So we always recommend to lift weights 3 times a week. That includes you ladies. Irish women have the highest rate of osteoporosis in Europe. Weightlifting is found to improve bone density. When I tell people about lifting weights 3 times a week, they always ask about their cardio. So ideally, I'd recommend people do cardio on the other days. So, and your cardio has to be determined by how intense your weightlifting sessions are as well. So, if you're doing 3 heavy weightlifting sessions a week, by heavy I mean intensity, doing 3 intense cardio classes or spinning classes or cycles or runs or whatever, it's going to be fairly taxing on the body, and within a week or 2 you're probably going to be exhausted. So if you're focusing on your weights, let the cardio take a little bit of a back seat and go into more kind of like a maintenance, or what we call like active rest. So you can still go swimming, go for your runs, but drop it back a notch or 2. That you're doing it at a comfortable place, more enjoyable place. If you do insist on doing cardio on the same day as weightlifting, I'd recommend just short bursts, kind of like 8 to 10 rounds of interval training or 10-minute kind of metabolic conditioning little session, and get the heart rate up. But as I said previously, definitely I'd prefer people doing cardio on their other days. So let's say you have a program. Let's say you have a 3-day split program. What I want you to do, go back, take the program. So week 1, what we're going to look at is on most of the exercises. You might have some sort of like bench pressing, rowing, arms exercise, shoulders exercise, leg exercise. Okay, so what we do is we look at your reps, your sets, how much you're resting in between your sets. And then the big one is your weight. So, some of you, particularly lads, I've seen it for years, you're going to the gym week in, week out, but you're lifting the exact same weight for the exact same amount of reps, for the exact same amount of sets, and in between you're probably killing 5 minutes on Facebook or something. So it's, leave the phone out of the gym, unless all it's for is for playing music in your ears. Walk in, have a plan, stick to the plan. Like most of people's training sessions, if you're in the gym longer than 50 minutes, you're just floating around. People come and tell me, I spent 2 hours in the gym. What the hell do you do in the gym for 2 hours? No matter who you are, most people at all sorts of levels, proper training, in and out, less than an hour, you're done. So, selecting your weights. So let's take a bench press. Bench press, nice and simple. For the endurance, so up here I have weeks 1 to 5. We're looking at 12 to 15 reps. So how we select our weight is, it's a weight that you should be able to lift 12 times, but by 15 it's starting to be a bit of a struggle. So maybe you might only have 2 reps left in the tank. So let's say if you take 40 kilos and you're barbell bench pressing 40 kilos or dumbbell bench pressing 215s or something, 12 should be relatively comfortable. By 15 you should have a bit of a squeeze into it. you know, and that's how we select our weight. So no matter what your reps, you know, whether it's 8 to 12, you know, 5 to 8, it's a weight that you should clear the first, but by the last one you only have 1 or 2 left in the tank, because then as your sets go on, so let's say 12 to 15, let's say set 1 you do 15 somewhat comfortably, set 2 you do, you know, 15 is a bit of a squeeze, set 3 you only get 13 out of it, set 4 you get 12 reps. You know, so that's how we're going to select our weights. It's going to be based on your reps. So we have week 1 to 5. Here we have sets. So I have 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. So week 1, you know, whatever the program is, just do 2 sets of each. So whether it's, you know, an A, B, C, D, or A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, whatever, you're going to do just 2 sets of each. Get a feel for it. We're going to implement these. And then weeks, you know, 2 and 4, you're going to do 3 sets. Week 4 and 5, you're going to do 4 sets. Rest time, 75 to 90 seconds only between sets. So no flipping around on Facebook. Use a stopwatch, you know, finish your last set, shake it off, 75 to 90 seconds, you're straight back in there. We're not looking for you to be fully recovered, you know, to going back in there. And this is why, you know, let's say after if you're on a week where you're doing 4 sets, after your 3rd set you only get 12 reps, well, you may have to consider taking off a couple of kilos to do the last set to make sure you're still squeezing within that 12 to 15 rep range. The only exception I'd say for 12 to 15 reps is if someone has barbell deadlifts in your program. Barbell deadlifts generally in a commercial gym, it's probably not in any of your programs. For beginners, it's probably no real need to have them in your program. But if there is, 1, make sure you know exactly how to do deadlifts, that you've, you know, learned it under proper instruction. And 2, I probably wouldn't be exceeding 10, you know, 12 reps max. But that would be an exception. But for all the other main lifts, you know, whether it's leg exercises, bench pressing, pulling, 12 to 15 rep range is good. So, you know, after week 5 now, you've completed that. And all we're going to do is kind of step it up a notch. So step up the intensity a bit. So for week 6 to 9 then, we drop it down to 8 to 12 reps. So again, now we're going to have to re-gauge your weights. So now we're looking for a weight that you're going to lift 8 times, but 12 by 12, you're getting a bit of a squeeze, a bit of a struggle. So again, with the bench press, you know, if on your first set you felt you have 1 or 2 more in the tank, that's grand. You know, again, the rest times now, we're going to give you a little bit longer, 90 to 120 max. So 2 minutes maximum. Get back in there again. You know, if by your 4th set or your 3rd set, you've just squeezed out 8 reps only, well then by your 4th set you want to think of taking a couple of kilos off, so that your 4th set you're still getting 12 to 15 reps. So between these two, you know, if for those of you that read up stuff online and all, you might have come across things called accumulation. So this will be part of the accumulation part of your program. So week 1 is just getting you a feel for all this, you know, getting a feel for the weights, learning what your own weights are going to be. Make sure you're writing it all down. So then week 2, you're looking at 3 sets of everything. Week 3, 4 sets of everything. Then drop it back, 3 sets, 4 sets. Then you're into hypertrophy, you know, 8 to 12 reps. You know, this where now you can step up with the intensity and then a little bit of volume. So you're going 4 sets, 5 sets, drop it back, 4 sets, 5 sets, 90 seconds to 2 minutes rest. So by week 10 now, you know, we're going to step it up a gear again. You know, we're going to go into like intensification, so kind of more strength based. So we're looking at 5 to 8 reps. You know, so again, sticking with the bench press. You know, first set, you know, by 8 it's a little bit of a struggle. You know, you might only have 1 or 2 left in the tank. Again, we're looking at, you know, week 10, 4 sets, 11 5 sets, 12 4 sets, 13 5 sets, and you know, again, make sure that if you're barely only hitting the 5 reps, that your next set you might consider, you know, dropping off a bit of weight. Don't be chasing numbers. You know, stick within the range, and you're going to, you know, in the long run perform a lot better with it. With the strength, then we have a little bit more rest time just to recover a bit more. So you're looking at like 2 minutes and up to 4 minutes. You know, the 4 minute mark would be more for bigger lifts. If at this stage, if you are properly deadlifting or squatting. The only exception on this would be the small muscles. So for those of you, if you are doing things like bicep curls, you know, tricep extensions, I'd recommend sticking with the 8 to 12 rep range. So even in this program, the kind of bigger lifts, so all your push exercise, your pull exercise, your squats and all, you can lower the reps, so increase the weight, lower the reps. But for things like biceps, triceps, I'd probably still recommend staying within the 8 to 12 range. So one big point I have here is tempo. So this is where I see loads of people failing. So let's take the bench press. So you see lads and they'd have a barbell bench press and, you know, let's say 40 kilos and it's just, we're going for 10 reps because everyone does 4 sets of 10 and it's just like boom, 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 boom. But there's no, like your muscles work in 3 ways. So they work like eccentrically, isometrically and concentrically. So in a bench press, the eccentric, you're lengthening the stretch or the chest muscles under tension. Pausing at the bottom is isometric, you're holding it under tension. And then the concentric is the squeeze or shortening the muscle under tension. So, you know, a simple tempo for most exercises, we just look at 3, 1, x 1. So what I mean by that, on let's say bench press, you're coming down eccentrically for 3, 3, 2, 1, pause for 1, x, explode up, pause at the top for 1. Let's take a lat pull down. The explosion on the lat pull down is obviously going to be down. So it's down, hold under tension for 1, back up, 3, 2, 1. Pause for 1, down, hold under tension for 1, back up, 3, 2, 1. So by adding a tempo in, you're adding a lot more control. You're using your muscles within the 3 different ways, eccentrically, isometrically and concentrically. And also then your time under tension. So if any of us follow Charles Pollock and stuff, you know, he used to always go on a lot about the time under tension of muscles. So with a bench press, for someone who is doing this for 10 reps, takes about 12 to 15 seconds. But if you're doing 3, 1, x 1, you're talking about 5 seconds a rep. You know, and if you're doing 5 seconds a rep, I say 12 reps, it's going to take you a whole minute. So the difference in the 2 people, even only at 1 set, with the tempo, your time under tension is 60 seconds for 1 set, or the other dude who's just bouncing a bar off his chest, his time under tension is only 12 to 15 seconds for 1 set. So by adding a tempo in, you're going to get a lot more work done. And by, you know, if you are one of the dudes bouncing, try put a tempo into the weight that you're bouncing off the chest, and you're not going to hit anywhere near these numbers. The last one is the movements. So if you are in the commercial gym, pull one of the instructors aside, say, listen, I'd like a new workout, but what you want included is specific movements. So, you know, we always look at a squat or squat variations. So, you know, make sure that the instructor can actually assess you that you can do an actual squat before, you know, you're going to load up a squat with a barbell or kettlebells for goblet squats. You know, or squat variations, you can do like, you know, things like lunges and all, and then add on other exercises to improve your mobility of your squat. A hinge. So a hinge, we're looking at primarily the big ones are deadlifts and kettlebell swings. But again, deadlifts and kettlebell swings, you know, the risk of injury, you know, for someone who is not being taught properly is very high. So, you know, things like Romanian deadlifts, good mornings, are also known as a hip hinge. If you have kettlebell swings and deadlifts, make sure someone is there to actually show you how to do it correctly and that you're confident enough that you're not going to hurt yourself. Then you have your push and pull exercises. So that's like horizontal push, like bench press, push-ups, horizontal pulls, variations of rows. You know, vertical push would be, you know, military press, shoulder press variations. Vertical pull, lat pull down, pull-ups. And then carries, things like farmer's walks or farmer's carries, suitcase carries, single hand, you know, rack carries with a kettlebell, overhead carries. So these are all the important movements that should be incorporated into your workout. So this is why sometimes you can get more done by splitting into things like upper body, lower body, full body day. So in the upper body, you're concentrating on your push pulls and your carries. Your lower body, you're looking at, you know, your legs and your hinge variations or full days. You know, you can have a mixture of each. So that's it. Any questions at all, just throw them in the comments below. If you enjoy these videos, again, I'll ask you just to share them across your own social media. And if there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, just put it in the comments as well. Just ask. There's no problem at all.